Hello and welcome to Clamp, the weekly podcast where we talk about all things related to creating, living, and making projects. I'm Grant Alexander, and I'm the host. And this week, joining me as always is Adam Mackey and Morley Kurt. And tonight we have a special guest, hailing from La Belle Province, a wonderful woodturner, a good friend, and an all-around hilarious guy, Pat Lapp.
Hey guys, I thought it was making it. I'm disappointed.
You know what? It's okay. We get more views per Monday morning at 2:00 in the morning than they do. So it's all good. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you over the last couple of years, and I wanted to have you on to talk about something that you probably have never ever shared before. It's comedy. So everyone knows you as the funny guy. You make funny faces at the camera. You do funny things in your videos. To kind of give a background about where I found you and why I started following you in the first place is the first moment I remember going like, I got to follow this guy is one of your videos. You were like said to the camera, and I can't remember if you even said it in French or English, but you said like, "Oh, I really love working with hand tools because they're so much quieter." And then you take the hand plane and you go across it and just yell and ah! And I was like, "That's hilarious!" And that was the time that I went, I got to follow this guy, and that was a few years ago. And then since then, we've met in real life a couple times, and I wanted to talk to you about comedy. So,
did we met before you started following me, or you followed me before?
I followed you before I met you. And I think we met.
What?
I think we met at Maker's Rendezvous.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Where I taught you how to build a beer crate, right?
I have it right here behind me.
That's it.
I have the one you made. Somewhere is the one I made, but yeah.
That's one of the funniest videos I made. Really, those like woodworking is relaxing thing. I like those.
Yeah, they were. The first one got me so good. Anyways, yeah, comedy. Tell us a little bit about your background with comedy and why you include it in your videos.
Because for me, it's all about entertaining people. More than woodworking itself. I mean, I like woodworking, but I think I prefer making funny videos over like the good craft. Because I'm not an expert. I know how to play with tools, but I don't pretend that I'm the best at it. Or, I'm just having fun in the shop because I think my background of having boring jobs made myself to think about something like my safe space, a place where I can just make funny stuff without being approved by someone else. And of course, comedy helps breaking many barriers.
Totally.
I think a smile is like, you don't have to smile in English or in Russian, or a smile is a smile. Everybody's understand that. And I think that by making like silly things, people can, I don't know, maybe bond stronger with me. Or each time I read someone saying, "Oh man, you made my day because you made that stupid thing," and I'm like, "Oh, cool, that's great."
It's funny. It's funny you say that you started putting it into like your content creation because you had the freedom of that, but then making fun and like if you weren't on it, I don't think the comedy would be there. And I think that's probably one of the big things that got you into the show is because they knew what you could bring.
Yeah. Making fun is like my playground. I mean, I would have done the same without cameras and without Netflix and all the things. Just being in the shop with friends, making silly things, because that's who I am. Even when there's no camera around, I turn at the camera saying silly things. And often my girlfriend's like, "Oh, what the hell are you talking about?" I'm just making a sketch in my head. I know I have meds for that, but sometimes I just forget to take it. But yeah, I had a couple of shitty jobs in the past, and yeah, I think I don't know how to say that, but yeah, it forces me to make funny stuff. Well, now people can agree or not, but the more important, if I smile first, if I have fun first, then that's okay. If you don't find it funny, that's fine. I find it funny, so my goal is achieved.
Right. Like one of I think was the funniest Instagram sketches that you used to do in your stories was the swipe up. It was when you're
Oh
working
yeah,
your way towards 10,000, and back in the day, only people over 10,000 could swipe up for a link,
yeah.
and that was always so funny. Whenever you're like, "Oh, you can't swipe up here," and I even had T-shirts made that were like, "Take away the 10,000 so that we can have more can't swipe up videos."
You probably saw the one I made with Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
swipe up if you want to see. Oh, that was at Maker's Rendezvous.
Yeah,
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 yeah. So swipe up
where
if you
he
want to
beat you
see me
up.
speaking French.
Yeah,
And then he pushes me. That's funny.
yeah. So, if I recall correctly, you went to school for comedy.
Yeah, yeah. But like lately, I've worked in for my grandfather like for 20 years making furniture,
Oh
and
wow.
then he had to close the to shut up the shop. So I decided to study in communication and graphic design.
Okay.
After that, I thought, yeah, okay, I like communication, I like graphic design, but it's not fun enough. I won't. Well, that was fun, but not fun enough. So I decided to go to the comedy school in Montreal. So then I could like make communication like funny communication, and it worked. I've worked for 5 years in TV production and live shows, making funny graphics and things like that. And then I realized I miss woodworking. But now, how can I like blend all those skills together? And that's why I decided to start my YouTube channel, so I can just make gags, make videos, make graphic stuff, and do woodworking. Yeah,
Oh, well, it seems like you've got it a nice little like combination of all those skills. Um, have you found there's any drawbacks to adding comedy to your videos?
no, not for me, not for me. That's funny because I've never had like hate or things like that. Like in 7 years or 8 years on YouTube, I like the only comments or two I had was, "Oh, you're ugly." Wait, I'm ugly. Cool, fine. I just don't care.
Well,
That's
maybe they
funny.
were trying to make a joke and it just wasn't a very good one.
Yeah, and I make silly things. Like, do you remember the five cut methods videos? Like for the
Yes.
cross cut sled, and it's just like a cut with an axe, and yeah, that's stupid. That's really stupid. So people who are looking for legit information can find that on my channel, and they can comment like, "No, you're a fucktard." I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't have those comments. I don't know why. Probably because my big smiley face. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's probably also about like setting a realistic expectation. I
Yeah.
mean, I know you've like titled some videos like relaxing woodworking and then maybe it wasn't the most relaxing thing, but yeah, I mean, if someone is coming to what you're doing with the expectation of like, this is going to be entertainment, not like
Mm.
how to build a bed, what do they have to be angry about?
Yeah.
All in good
That's
fun.
it's a very good point. Now, so there's no drawbacks to putting comedy in your videos, but do you think it makes it more fun or more difficult or both?
It's more difficult to make it for a company
Okay.
because sometimes company says, "Okay, yeah, go do your own thing. You're funny. we'll let you handle the creativity or things like that. And then you produce something and they're like, oh no, yeah, no, not that funny. Like just step back a bit, and then you're just not yourself anymore, and that sucks. For me, that sucks. I'm trying to reach the freedom, but not like the freedom. Oh, let's break it all, and, and I want to be free. But it just when creating, you need to keep you need to let funny people do funny shit and do like the tech guy do the tech things. And I mean, yeah.
Right.
Well, I think
As
I think
long
it can
as
be uncomfortable for some people who like have a certain picture in their head of like what a professional environment or something is going to be like. They don't see silliness as something that is like acceptable in a professional setting. And so like maybe they think or maybe they do enjoy comedy, but once it's part of their like working day, and I've had this experience myself, like it's something I'm trying to become better with, is like accepting silliness as part of work, because like I don't, not in the same way as you, but I want to inject like some of my own, personality and silliness into the videos that I make. And it's hard if you have this certain like picture in your head of like, well, no, like to be a function adult professional, like silliness isn't a part of that. I think so. Definitely something people struggle with.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I mean, if they don't want to the content to be funny or creative or that's totally fine. But if you hire a clown and expect it to act like as a dog, it's like no, that doesn't make sense. I mean, you hired him.
Hire a clown and then just like, can you just make balloon animals? Don't make jokes.
So, is this in reference to your Axe commercial? Is this the one that you're trying to talk? Is that what you're referencing when you're talking about they hired you to be funny and then they walked you back so much?
That's just one. Yeah, that wasn't Axe. That was the other one.
Oh yeah, no, Old Spice.
Yeah,
Old Spice. Yeah, sorry.
You said that. No, I don't. We won't have any problems with that. Yeah. That's one of the cases, but it's always like that. Like, okay, do funny things. Cool. I write. What was bad with Old Spice is I made the text approved by them. Like they read it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. Go ahead. And I filmed it, and like, oh no, I think that's too much. That's offensive. No, it's not. First, it's not, and second, you approved it. But yeah, companies are hard for me. I prefer working with smaller companies where they have more freedom or are willing to like do some exploration. Like we're willing to try that, and if it doesn't work, we can just delete it and try something else. And I'm not talking about like big jokes or things like that's obvious that you can't do that for a company, but
Right.
like just edgy things. That's funny sometimes, just to try to cross the line just a bit.
Do you feel though
If
that
you-
like, because something maybe I've noticed as a consumer is that companies do seem to be at least trying to seem more edgy in the type of comedy that they're accepting. Like, especially with, I think like TikTok and Twitter and stuff, like some companies have like Twitter account, like Wendy's Twitter account, for example, which has gotten really popular. Do you find that in your own experiences that there's been like a change in the last few years?
Yeah, especially with younger companies or companies managed by younger people. I speak of Total Boat, for example. That's a perfect example. That's not like you see Paul Jackman with Carolina and Total Boat and Arbor Tech. That he does what he wants, basically, and that's perfect, and it works because he really has that creativity. I'm not quite there yet with companies because I don't have a lot of sponsors, but I prefer working with like less sponsors or smaller company, but do whatever I want. Like the ad I made for Water Soil,
Oh yeah.
the furniture butter. That was cool because I made what I wanted.
So, do you think it has to do with trust? And they don't maybe trust you enough or trust themselves enough to do that?
Maybe I think it's more like of the conservative sides versus like people who are more liberal, or I don't know. I don't know.
I reckon, like with Paul, for instance, he's made that many videos with them that they know what to expect. At the beginning, they wouldn't have been like that, I don't reckon. And then if he came out and did something outrageous, they would probably say no straight away.
Yeah,
But because
yeah.
they know what to expect from him, it's pretty much the same. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but like it's pretty much the same thing every time. You know, just in a
No, right.
little different way to suit that project. But I don't know.
No, you're right.
Do you think that any joke can be told, or do you think there are jokes that are off limits? And I'll talk about it. One, in you've already said, like, dick jokes may not go well with, maybe underwear companies they'll work with, but maybe not every company,
Yeah.
right? But do you think there's any jokes that are off limits at all, ever? And
Nope.
then we could walk it. No. Okay.
No.
All right.
But I mean, for me, it's all about freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, but you need to accept the consequences. I mean, if I make a gag about, and just recently speaking about Will Smith and Chris Rock thing.
Right.
I mean, that's not cool to slap someone on stage. I mean, you don't have to do that to express your point, but at the same time, yeah, Chris Rock had the right to say that joke, but you need to accept the slap because he offended someone. I think we can laugh about everything. It depends on the context and of the intention.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just quoting one of my friends, the comedian Mike Ward, about that. Yeah.
Well, that's where I came up with this. I knew you were you followed. I didn't know if you were friends with him, but obviously Mike Ward in Canada had a big Canada doesn't have freedom of speech like America does, and they have some certain things that are off limits. And Mike Ward, I don't know the end result of it, but there was a big issue with one of the jokes he was saying, and he basically got. I don't know if he got sued. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, I believe. You probably have more info on it. Maybe you can shed a little light on that controversy.
No, I don't really want to talk about that because I mean, everybody had their own opinions about that. But yeah, he made a joke. He just made a joke in the show, and like the kid 10 years later decided that he was offended. And decided to sue him. In fact, that's the Commission des droits de la personne. I don't know the term in English. Anyway, yeah, he's been sued, but he won at the end in Supreme Court. He won.
Okay, that was what I was wondering, is if he won in the end. But it was the Human Rights Commission. Is the English.
Yeah.
Pour les anglophones dans l'audience.
That shit pisses me off. Comedy needs a statute of limitations. Like, I can't deal with hearing all these comedians getting in trouble for something they said 10 years ago. Like, times have changed. Just because it's not politically correct now, it was back then. Well, in a sense, like, you can't. Like, I'm so like, Chris Rock, I think's probably even been thrown under the bus as well. Like, he says a joke 10 years ago, and now they're like, "Oh, you said the N word when you shouldn't have." Like.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of those, especially the high profile ones, though, aren't legal challenges as much as they are people en masse forming an opinion. And it's kind of like what Pat said. It's like you have to accept the consequences of what you said. Like, I mean, like with what happened with Joe Rogan, it's not like he was getting in legal trouble. He still is swimming in his millions of dollars. It's just that he had to deal with a social media hailstorm for a little while. But he's living fine right now. I feel like for the most part, a lot of those people, I mean, barring court cases like in the Mike Ward case, are, they might get some fire under them, but they're fine, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think reputation's the biggest thing that gets hurt from that. But like, imagine
if that's true. I mean, they get publicity.
Yeah, there's no bad publicity.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, depends. Yeah.
But imagine making a joke now about COVID, and then 10 years down the track, someone tries to get you in trouble because you made a joke about COVID. Like,
I feel like a lot of comedians are making jokes about COVID.
exactly. No, that's the thing though. Like, imagine 10 years down the track that all these people were like, oh, these people didn't take this serious, and like, or whatever. You know, like, there's got to be a statute of limitations on this, like, on jokes.
I don't think there needs to be a statute of limitations. Jokes can be offensive the moment you say them. There are people offended by them. And the thing is, just because not enough people were offended doesn't make it not a good or bad thing to say. You know, people have been making bad jokes for a long time that were not acceptable at any time, but people just didn't want to challenge status quo or whatever.
And it's not because I reach your limit that I've reached the limit.
Right.
Yeah.
And
because sometimes people are just offended, but that doesn't mean that I went too far. It just means that you're offended.
right.
Yeah.
And you have no problem. I personally don't have a problem. I can be offended and I can walk away and I can even tell everyone, you shouldn't watch that. It's offensive. And that is 100% within my right of being offended, is to tell the entire world you shouldn't watch that. And the big problem today is more the media loves that story and blows these, like, 5 people are offended. Let's get them on. Get all 5 of them on. It'll sound like 1 million people, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's switch gears a little bit because we're starting to go down a track that isn't very funny. And when we have a funny guy on, we want to try and make it a little bit funny. So, we earlier mentioned that you were on this thing. I think it's called Making Fun. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen it before.
No, in Quebec, that's Les Artisans Fun.
So we're on this show on Netflix, which was hilarious. There's lots of, if anyone out there hasn't watched it yet, obviously you need to go do it. But there were obviously a lot of jokes that didn't make the edit. And I wanted to talk to you about your favorite ones that got caught. Because I saw today on your Instagram, you had a beanie on with a propeller.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, what was the story behind that?
It was very hot in East Durham. Don't worry, I'll get there. It was very it was very hot, and
this propeller helped fan my hand.
So I told the producer, "Hey, what if I wear like a short overall? Can I do that? Since I'm already the funny guy, so I think it might work." And he said, "Yeah, just try it." But I ordered like that hat with a propeller, and I wore the suit you saw on Instagram. And he says, "You know what? I think that's a bit too much." I said, "Really? Okay, I just want to transition with that at least." And fine, after all, it didn't make the cut at all. But I thought it was funny, even though if it's just to enter the shop with that, and like Jimmy can say, "What the fuck, Pat? What is that?" And that's my new style, man. And then like the second scene, I don't have it anymore. But yeah, it was just one thing that. Sorry.
I was going to say, you can't wear a propeller hat, but you can spend a whole episode making fun of Graz for wearing overalls.
Yeah. No,
Which was hilarious.
He wasn't against the hat. He wasn't against it. He just found that it was too silly. My character was already silly enough, and I agreed.
Yeah.
But one thing that didn't make the cut, and it was in at first, at least when they show us the clip, is me and Graz working on that rock, doing some pottery. It was like the ghost scene.
Oh, yeah.
And in the end, it didn't work, but that was funny.
Yeah.
I feel like there must be so much that got cut out because there's only so much you can fit in an episode.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 cameras running 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then you need to wrap like 1 week and a half in 30 minutes or 45 minutes. That's a ton of clips that you have to throw out.
Wow. I'm thinking about my own ratio for my videos, which is usually about like two and a half hours of footage to make a 10-minute video. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think the ratio was for this show? Like, how much footage to how much episode?
I don't know. What was really hard is we didn't have any pilot for that show. So basically, we have an 8-episode pilot. Now, if we get a second season, that will be easier because we know like the
What they need to shoot.
canvas and yeah.
Yeah.
But we really overshoot everything. I'd say like 10% of it made the cut, maybe. I don't know.
I got to say, I really appreciate editors of TV shows.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I could not imagine what they must go through. Like, I know that it gets like all separated, like it all gets sent to someone that specifies in coloring and all that sort of stuff. But even just trying to line up all the footage to be in time with each other, like it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, I wonder how many of those editors were actually on the site, and so they know where to look for stuff. Because in my own experience of like editing projects where I might not have been filming everything, that takes so much time because you have to watch everything. I mean, I know there's like everything we're talking about, there's processes in place for that, like the syncing up, like you were talking about, Adam. Like there's technologies for that, and I'm sure there's things in place in the professional TV industry, like dailies and such, that allow them to parse through it quicker, which is really super interesting. Yeah. Like I wish I had studied TV production some days, because knowing just how to do that a little more methodically would be very useful.
They were like one person of the crew, I think, on location for the first 2 weeks, yeah, and then everything was just sent to LA, so nobody was on the set to see all the things happened. But the director and the co-director were taking notes and sending it to the editors.
Right.
But I wouldn't have to. I didn't want to edit that. I mean, that was too much footage.
I struggle editing a one-camera shoot.
Yeah.
Well, so out of the stuff that did make the cut, what was your favorite funny moment?
Oh, definitely the boob scene.
The boob scene.
Oh, yeah, where I boop direct nose.
Yes.
Yeah. Not because of that action part particularly, but I think we were at the 6th episode by then, and we started to be very tired. Very tired. That was exhausting. And that was. I'm just thinking about that because that's legit fun. What you see on the when Jimmy cracks in half. That we were just tired. But after that scene, I did like a cat and lick my arm and like cuddle Jimmy like that, and then we like exploded, and we laughed straight for maybe an hour. I don't know, half an hour maybe, but that was really funny. Everybody was laughing. Yeah, that was my favorite moment.
When I saw that moment, what it made me think is how often you point on your Instagram. And I went, that's what he's just been looking for, something to boop this whole time.
Maybe, yeah. I just want to boop.
Well, is there any tips you can give to the people who want to be funny? Like myself, I try to be funny, but I'm not.
Too.
I know I'm not.
It's terrifying.
What are the best tips you could give to people, seeing as you're a studied comedic, talent here? What can you say to people to tell them to try and be funny? What is it that makes people funny? What's the major tips?
Well, that's a good question. I'd say just try to not give a shit.
All right.
No, sometimes we're just concerned about everything. Oh, how it will get received, or oh no, I won't say that because of this, and And I'm not talking about offensive stuff. Just just be yourself, and you don't have to be funny. But if you want to be funny, just have fun. Life is too short. I mean, Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I think
just
about like I tried stand up comedy for a stint when I was in university. I think I did like 10 open mics or something, and then I off and on for a few years. And it was always clear. I don't know if it was clear to the audience, but it felt bad afterwards if I tried to like force a joke. And it
mhm.
just like I was like, no, that was too much in one direction. Like that's not me. Like I made a joke about like being addicted to gambling because at the time I was like enjoying going to the Montreal casino to play craps. Like I think I went like twice, and I was like, that wasn't truthful. Like there was no teeth for that to hold on to. Um, and
But sometimes it's not just about you. It might be about the public too,
oh,
like the
for sure.
crowd.
And I like
Yeah,
the best show I ever had was because this big group of 8 like super happy drunk people came in and they were just having a great time and it just made it so easy
yeah.
versus every other time when there was like 3 people in or like
Yeah.
10 people but they're all just doing their own thing in the room.
Yeah, I think it's worse when you have like just 3 people instead of like 100. For me,
Oh yeah, it's
it's
so
easier
hard.
with a lot of people. Personally, that's not my type of things. Like stand up, I can't do that because I don't know, it freezes me.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm
but
curious
yeah,
about like your education in comedy. So what was that like? Like what was that education?
that was they had like 2 programs, like the stand up comedians one and the author program, like the writers. So I took writers first because it was less long. It was just 1 year instead of 2, and 2 because I didn't want to go on stage. That's it. I wanted to make comedy, but not on stage. Yeah,
And was the focus like writing for TV?
yeah, for TV, for scene, for stage, for no, that was about everything. I'd say 50% for TV, but the rest, like it's for books, for sitcoms, for yeah.
Well, I feel when I think back to like my own education, I feel like there was a lot of parts of it that I just forgot, but they were like small nuggets that like have stuck for me for a long time. Those nuggets for you in your comedy education where like you just keep coming back to those ideas?
Yeah, yeah.
And what were some of those?
Um, I have a big inspiration from Andy Kaufman, like
Mm-hmm.
nonsense things, and it makes me laugh when I see people confused. I don't know why it makes me so happy, just just to see someone like just look at me. What the hell is he doing? And yeah, it creates some fire. And I mean,
That's
I'm driving my car and I look at people just like when I pass them, I'm like just to see their reactions. That's all. And yeah,
My favorite when driving the car is when you pass them, you close one of your eyes and you pretend to be asleep.
yeah, that's funny too.
But the
Yeah,
problem with that one is you can't see the reaction.
yeah.
So it's unfortunate. You got to have a
You
just
use
camera
a
gotta
to
cell
look.
know.
phone.
I do it to my
Yeah.
son. Close your like you squint where you can just see through, and my son
Yeah.
thinks I'm asleep.
That's so interesting
So-
because I feel like that's something that makes a lot of people really uncomfortable is when people look at them with a blank stare, but you get enjoyment out of it.
Is so on you were just on the Because We Make podcast, and one of the things you said was that timing is so important in comedy.
Yeah.
And I wanted you, if you could, expand on why timing is so important.
Oh, that I can't explain. Uh, I mean, it was important for me because I wanted not to be like below the other guys, and I had the feeling I'm just speaking about making fun, but I had the feeling that I was less good than them just because I wasn't able to communicate the same way. And I mean, in French, I could have jumped way faster in the conversations, even though it was like filmed. I could have just stopped the shoot. Okay, guys, I'm going to do that again. But I don't know, on set with the pressure, I was like, okay, that's it. I made it, and let's live with that. I was so scared to look stupid. But it worked. You know what? Yeah, remember that? I was talking to you during the shoot, I think.
Yeah.
And I told you that. I'm just scared, man. I think I'm going to break. And yeah. But in the end, it worked great.
It's so funny because your advice earlier is be yourself.
I know, and that's the thing with me. I can't follow my own advices.
Yeah, we're always the hardest at that. It's.
I can't imagine like what it would be like to. I mean, I don't know how long the shoot was, but forever amount of time, just be everyone watching you and expecting you to like and be entertaining for that amount of time. I mean, it must be exhausting. I can totally understand what you're saying when you're like, I feel broken.
Yeah, totally. Especially in English, because it's like you try to be funny in other language, and other than my funny faces, I don't have much. I mean, no, seriously. So it was, at least for me, it was hard just trying to keep up with this. I mean, at the end of the first week of the shoot, I was exhausted. Like, I was living with Paul, and when we were back at the cottage, I was like just almost drunk of just thinking in English and things like that. It's like if you need to start thinking in French, like for a shoot. I mean, I was comfortable enough to speak English in the restaurant, but my English wasn't good enough to be on a Netflix show. Apparently, yes, because the editors are great.
Was that ever like a worry going before you started the actual production? Like, I don't think they're going to want me on because I can't speak English well enough.
All the time, like the first 3 weeks. And nobody made me feel like that. I was thinking that. But the director was always beside me. Hey, Pat, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You're good. That's okay. We all friends. But
Yeah.
I remember like the first 2 weeks, I was quarantining at the cottage. I was in my country. I was alone in a new house. I couldn't get out. And I remember calling my girlfriend crying, like, I can't do that. I'm too much. I'm gonna shit my pants now. I want to get back home. I need my mommy. I was really scared.
Yeah.
And until Mike, the director, came in to talk a bit, and we developed like a relation. I've learned to trust him because he told me for weeks, Pat, that's gonna be good. You're good, man. You're good. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And every time I was like, I wasn't crying every day, but I had a hard time. And now, because in Quebec, maybe I had a bias because in Quebec, when you do reality shows, when you do something stupid, they will like focus on that. Like if you pick your nose, that's gonna make the cut for sure.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was just scared to look stupid. But now that I'm seeing the result, and Mike told me that, like Mike over there, he's super nice. He told me that that's going to be fine. It's at our advantage to make a great show. We don't want you guys to look stupid. And in the end, I trusted him. And now that I've seen making fun, I'm like, okay, man, next season you can do whatever the hell you want with me.
Right.
Because
So what are the odds looking like right now for a next season? Do you have any intel?
we have nothing. We really don't know. I hope I have the feeling from the response we have on socials that we're gonna get a second season. We're all positive about it, but we don't have any numbers from Netflix or no idea.
I feel like Netflix is dumb not to.
What is the communication like with them? Are they just, do you have a rep there and they'll be like, we'll talk to you in a few months?
What communication?
Nothing?
Wow.
No, I have communications with Netflix Canada. Netflix Canada takes care of me like super well. I'm the one who makes interviews right now. I had like 20 interviews made on TV and radio shows, and while the other guys I have nothing. And it's too bad. I mean, Netflix US seems to not give a shit. Maybe it's not the case. I understand the fact that okay, that's just one show. It's okay for you. It's unique, but for us, I mean, that's premiere day every day. So there's nothing to.
It's something
be
I've
excited.
noticed as like an American living in Canada is like Canada definitely seems to really elevate their successful
Yeah,
celebrities, for lack of a better term, like
yeah.
actors and musicians and everything, just because there's smaller community.
And then double down on it being there's a French version of the show. So you have a number one. I don't know if did it hit number one in Canada in French?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you had a number one kid show. You're going to be getting interviews in French. You're the only one. You are.
I know.
You're the only one. Did you do all of the voiceover in French?
No, that's not my voice, and that I think that's one of the funniest thing, just to hear me speak in my own language but without my voice.
Wow, that must be a trip.
Yeah.
Wild.
Why wouldn't they get you back? That's funny.
Yeah, because of the union things.
All right.
Like you can, yeah.
Okay, fair. Okay, we won't get into unions. That's not fun. But you know what is fun? Our Patreon supporters. So I want to thank our Patreon supporters. We have our F clamp level, which are the highest clamp level. We have Brent Jarvis from Clean Cut Woodworking, Vincent Ferrari from the Because We Make podcast, and we have a new F clamp level, Austin from the High Caliber Craftsman. He's joining us. Thank you very much, everyone. If you want to watch the video where Pat is trying to make me laugh, you can do that right now on YouTube. But if you'd like to get access to the pre-show and after-show, where we have some exclusive content, you can go on over to patreon.com/clamp. You'll also get a custom numbered keychain made by the one and only Morley Kurt. And so if you'd like to do that, we appreciate it. If you can't do that, understand. If you don't like Patreon, just send us a message and we'll work something out. That's all I'll say. Anyways, thank you very much, guys. And on that note, we'll go into Clampmendations. Clampmendations. We have a song that we sing. We all sang together, and it plays
It's
right
great.
now.
It's like a 4-part harmony, maybe 6-part, because I think we layered it twice.
Yeah.
That is
Do you
not
want to
getting
go?
edited out this week.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Pat, or do you want to go last on your recommendation?
No, I can go first if you want. Can I plug two of my buddies?
You can do whatever you want.
As long as it's me and Grant.
Yeah.
What?
As long as it's me and Grant.
Well, Ren was my first choice. No, I want to plug my buddy Vic Tesolin, woodworker
yes.
Vic Tesolin. Yeah, you need to check his Instagram out. He's an incredible guy and super good woodworker. And second woodworker buddy Matt Wallace at Ottawa City Woodshop.
Oh yes,
That's another one good dude.
yes.
Yeah.
I haven't met Matt yet, even though I
No,
live in
really?
Ottawa. No.
Oh,
Every time it was like once I started getting to know people in Ottawa, some sort of weird plague happened, and I never got there's been no meets or anything. I did meet Vic that one time when we randomly. So one day we go to a restaurant near my house, and I sit down, and who's behind me but Pat? He's literally.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, we just randomly went out to a restaurant, and Pat and Vic are sitting behind me. I thought that was hilarious, and anyways, it's really funny. Anyway, that Vic is actually a recommendation because I've recommended people go check out his book before. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Is that the minimalist woodworker, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
yes,
Nice.
all right, Morley, who do you got to recommend this week?
My friend Jen Luke from Jen Eats Good. She has a food blog, and it's really good. And she's growing quite quickly. She puts like a ton of time and effort into it, which is very clear when you look at her Instagram. And I want her to like be able to take this full time, which I think she will be able to do if she keeps putting in the time and effort and growing.
Nice.
Yeah, she's gotten some like sponsored posts recently. And her food is really good. We've made some of it. So cool. Jen, if you like food and you like cooking good food, go check it out.
Before we move on to Adam, I have a question. If you read a recipe, do you make it exactly how they recommend, or do you substitute immediately?
I will always start by making it exactly as they recommend. Eden, on the other hand, my fiance, she will like just be like, no, we don't have that. We're not getting it. And I'm like, no, like this is a good excuse to like get ingredients we wouldn't get otherwise. Like I want to try to do it the same way that they do. Cause I feel like that's how I find good new foods is I like dip out of my normal groceries and get those like unconventional ingredients. And now I have that thing in my fridge that I can use in other stuff. So that's kind of like my philosophy behind it.
I like it.
You mean you don't just have 6 things that you cook constantly?
No, I mean, we have recipes that we rotate through, but I like making new stuff.
Yeah. I like peanut butter and jam. I like Kraft dinner. Peanut butter and jam. Hot dogs. Adam.
My grand.
My clampmendation this week is going to be a video by John Builds It called The Perfect Size Workbench / Assembly Table. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but it was very interesting to see that he used the CNC to cut out foam inserts, which I found really cool. And I really hate my workbench. I'm not going to lie. My workbench that I've spent so long making, I hate it. I like the idea of it, but I'm going to get rid of the table saw. And I think I want to keep like the flip top of the planer, but I want to remake it. And I want to remake it like out of plywood where I can make everything better, like more square, put proper drawer slides in. I like having all the storage and all the tools in the workbench, but I don't know. I hate what I made.
I love the idea of people remaking their workbenches. I actually do. I don't mind it. I think people get attached so often to garbage. Like they get used to using something that is complete and utter garbage. And I know this because I do it myself. And I'm like, well, it's here and I don't have to remake it. And I'm going to use this piece of garbage. It's a plywood with a 2x4, attached to it. And that's all it is. And yeah, anyways, I like the idea that you're going to go for it.
The good thing is that I've learned a few things from my workbench that I don't like. I don't like the table saw and I don't like that it doesn't have a vise.
Right.
Speaking of getting used to the wrong thing, Grant, when we went camping and we were doing the spoon carving, I swear, like the way you were holding the knife and carving it was like upside down and backwards. It was so awkward and uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure you were using like a lefty knife.
Yes, I do believe that that's what I did. I ordered a righty. I went back and looked. But I think they like Amazon. It's Amazon.
You were showing me how to do it, and like this is going to be bad just for the audio content. But like you turned your wrist like 270 degrees. Like you just got to like do that. This is terrible.
Hey, I made some beautiful spoons though. So
I'm
it's
sure
like
you
work
did.
with what you do.
It hurts your body.
Yeah, it's weird that like it didn't bother me, but I could totally see, and it's extra weird because I think I have arthritis. So,
well, now we know why.
I don't know. Probably from carving spoons backwards. I'm going to recommend Chris from Route 9 Signs. He makes amazing little miniature signs, and he's recently got into doing the weathering on them. So he was making like beautiful, perfect, pristine signs for the whole time, and now he's finally doing ones that look like they've actually look like the sign that you actually see. Yeah, instead of being brand new. And I really like that direction that he's going in. They're both beautiful. So, I don't mind either one if he ever makes me a sign. But anyways, you should go check him out.
Yeah.
All right. So
cool
at this point, if we have a review, we would normally read it. And Morley would read it in a funny accent. And I really wish that Pat had made Morley read in a French accent by sending in a review, but he didn't. So instead, we're going to play Australians.
I can do a great offensive Quebec accent. That's one I can do easily.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Oh, right now? Well, I need
Yeah.
something to read.
Okay. Instead, we're going to do Adam's Australian word of the week. So, Pat, what this is Adam gives us an Australian slang word, and we try and guess what it is. Because you're the guest, you're going to get to guess first.
Okay, cool.
And
Adam.
Morley's going to answer in his Quebec accent. My word for this week is cockeyed.
Okay.
Oh, can you read that?
And that
No?
is a little. Well, I don't want it because it'll give it away too much.
Okay.
By,
Well, I heard
that,
caca.
You installed that, but it's a little cockeyed.
oh, that's an easy one. But I got to do it in my Quebec accent. That is an easy one. It means it's crooked on the wall. Oh, that was too French. They don't say "ze."
Yeah, that was in Quebec. That was French from France.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, pretty much. It's twisted or slanted to one side.
Like that's a term we use in North America.
So I knew it would give it away by putting in a sentence.
you're muted, Grant.
I was wondering what was.
When did I mute it? Adam must have muted me.
I did not.
Anyways, thank you very much, Adam, for that wonderful Australian slang word of the week. It was cockeyed. I want to thank our TF Turning for our theme song. Pat knows TF Turning. He follows him on YouTube and Instagram. He makes music as well, and he made the theme song for this show. So if you like that music, go watch his YouTube, and you won't hear any of it because he doesn't put music in his YouTube anymore. And I want to thank Pat, of course, for coming out here. Thank you, Pat. Do you want to let everyone know where's the best place to find you?
Yes, on Google.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
But if they were going to go on Google, do they just search Pat and hope for the best?
Yeah, really, you can just look Pat Lab everywhere.
Okay,
like
Pat
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah.
I like it. Thank you.
I have a new website, patlab.com.
PatLab.com.
Yeah, go take a look and let me know what you think. It's super simple. I wanted to keep that like as simple as possible.
I like it. I'll have to go check it out.
Cool.
You can find us everywhere on the internet by searching for Clamp. You can go to Google and search Clamp, and it will be on like page 32. But if you search Clamp Podcast, Morley, Adam, Grant, and maybe Pat, then you'll be able to find us. We're also on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and you can watch us on the YouTubes. Yeah.
I just opened patlab.com and what a homepage.
Oh, now we're all going to go there now. It's going to be wonderful audio content.
Hey, if it gets people to go to the website, that's all that matters.
Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. That's intense. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and into the after show.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
I hate to tell you, Grant, it's actually in a workshop.
What?
The picture of Pat's in a workshop, not intense.
Ha.